why your Garmin VO2Max is useless and what you can do about it. My name is Jack from Box Nutrition and I help recreational sportsmen and women improve their performance. So today I'm going to be telling you why you shouldn't be paying too much attention to your VO2Max on your Garmin device. But you sell VO2Max testing, mate. Now, I'm not saying that VO2Max isn't important. It is. We know it's a great marker for endurance performance. Now, if you're going to be a decent cyclist, runner or triathlete, we know that you have to have a good engine. And what a VO2Max is this. It shows you how much oxygen you can take in and use. However, we also know this isn't the only thing that matters. The speed or the power you produce at your anaerobic/lactate threshold, this is probably the best determinant of actual performance. Also know that your aerobic threshold or your cycling efficiency/running economy are also really, really important. This is why you shouldn't just be looking at this one piece of a puzzle to give you an idea about how fit you are. Going back to the Garmin device, this is really based on averages or estimations or algorithms. And the issue with this is not a true reflection of your VO2Max. And then you have to ask yourself, well, what are you going to do with it anyway? You say you've got a number of 55. What does that mean? Yeah, I've got a VO2Max of 55. Who cares? It doesn't really relate to anything. What we need to get from a VO2 test or a VO2Max number is to help you with your training zones. And if you've got no other markers, then it really is useless. So we're not looking for that VO2Max number. We're almost looking for the power or the speed that you produce at your VO2Max. And then from this, we can estimate your training zones. So if you really can't get into a lab like at the moment, what you can do is do something like a RAM test if you're a cyclist, or something like a maximum heart rate test if you're a runner. So if you're a cyclist and if you've got Zwift, of course you've got Zwift, then all you need to do is a simple RAM test. So what a RAM test is we start at a really easy intensity and then every 60 seconds we just take up the watts. And now what happens, you're going to get to the point where you physically can't do any more. So to calculate your maximum aerobic power or the power you produce at your VO2Max, all that you need to do is add on the watts of the step that you completed to the percentage of the step that you did not complete. So let's say that you did 350 watts and you finished that step. The next step was 375 watts, but you only managed to complete 30 seconds. So the step increase was 25 watts. 50% of 25 is 12.5. So you add 12.5 to 350. So your maximum aerobic power is 362.5 watts. Now to calculate your FTP, all that you need to do is multiply this number by 0.75 or about 75%. What's better about this is it not just gives you that kind of actual output of your VO2Max, but it also gives you some strict training guidelines or help with your training moving forward. The problem with this is it still only estimates your FTP. Now, someone like myself who's got a fairly good VO2Max but a very poor FTP, this is not going to be 75%. And this really is the benefit of doing something like a full metabolic test where we can actually measure your lactate threshold / power at lactate threshold plus your VO2Max and the power you produce at your VO2Max, which gives you a far better insight into how to actually put in your training zones. When it comes to your running, you can use your maximum heart rate. And the best way to do this is simply run up and down a hill and keep going till your heart rate doesn't go any higher. And then from this, we know that your VO2Max zone is going to be about 95 to 100% of this. However, again, this doesn't really help with training zones. All it gives you is this top end figure. And this is the reason why I prefer to do something like a critical power test if you're a runner. If you need any more information about them, make sure you check out the blog post that I'll put in the links below. So in short, we know that VO2Max is incredibly important if you're going to be a decent endurance athlete. However, we also know that just knowing this figure by itself doesn't really give us much information. This is the reason why you need to be doing some sort of test to actually measure the output you're producing at the VO2Max. And to take it a step further, you really need to understand what kind of power or speed you're producing at your anaerobic or lactate threshold, as well as your aerobic threshold. And this is the reason why metabolic testing is so beneficial. We get to get data from all these points and put together a plan which we know will get you results. If you're interested in metabolic testing, then make sure you head over to boxnutrition.co.uk/metabolic-testing and book yours today. Until next time, stay healthy.